What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Hope and Carter engagement at risk as a result of Liam's fictitious illness. The Bold and the Beautiful reveals that Hope Logan and Carter Walton's engagement may be put in jeopardy while Bill Spencer unleashes his fury over Liam Spencer's tumor fake-out. John Finn Finnegan will find out about Grace Buckingham's con and pressure her to tell Liam about it. Grace will admit to faking Liam's tumor and performing this miraculous procedure, and both Hope Logan and he will be stunned. Grace will still have to deal with the consequences of her actions, even if she complains that the debt she's been drowning in forced her into a corner. In Italy, B&Bs say Brooke Logan's boat ride with Nick Marone will reach a soggy conclusion when she's thrown into the water. Ridge Forrester will plunge in as well and pull Brooke to safety, so that'll be the catalyst for their upcoming reunion. Ridge will come to the realization that Brooke, not Taylor Hayes, still holds his heart. In Los Angeles, it will be time to confront reality. If Ridge doesn't end his relationship with Taylor, he can't be with Brooke. Will he sit down with his current fiancée to tell her the bad news? Naturally, Taylor could also find out in a more dramatic way. After rescuing Brooke, we could very well see Ridge kissing her in a photo from a newspaper. Regardless, Ridge and Taylor's wedding will be called off soon, so they won't be getting the happy ending she anticipated. Regarding Bill, he will likely receive updates regarding Grace's brain cancer con. Bill wired $1 million and went through a great deal of emotional turmoil thanks to Grace, so he may unleash his wrath and demand legal consequences. The future of Hope and Carter is in jeopardy because Daphne Rose will remain to stir the pot. Daphne will have an affair with Carter and hope for her own chance to be with him, which will cause her to fight with Hope. Will Daphne and Carter ultimately betray Hope? If that's the case, it might encourage Hope to fall in love with Liam once more in the future. There is a good chance that Brooke and Ridge will reshape their own marriage plans. Ridge might go all in on remarrying Brooke instead of Taylor, promising this time that it will last forever. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Ridge's love life will undergo some major changes in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. Liam refuses to cover for Grace lies. The Bold and the Beautiful reveal that Liam Spencer will finally learn the truth about his cancer diagnosis after all of this time. John Finn Finnegan has now come to the conclusion that Liam's cancer story was nothing more than an elaborate fabrication. Grace Buckingham must tell Liam the truth, according to Finn. Will Liam conceal her identity? Grace Buckingham's lies were believed by Liam Spencer. After Luna Nozawa had killed 2 people, Liam had confronted his father about his decision to free her from prison and release her on the LA people. After Bill ordered Liam to leave, they fought so hard that Liam started to feel dizzy and even passed out after falling and hitting his head in Bill's living room. Afterward, Liam had gone outside only to pass out in the driveway and be discovered by Steffi Forrester. Grace's deception began there after Steffi had taken him to the hospital and called an ambulance. Liam and Steffi, as well as Finn, were informed that Liam had an inoperable tumor. Grace Buckingham uses stealing as a method. Grace insisted that the pills she gave Liam would help him live longer. However, rather than feeling better, Liam felt worse. Grace kept pushing Finn to get Liam to take his medication, even though he didn't want to have less quality of life than what he already had. When it came to pushing that medication, Grace started acting completely irrationally. After Liam's shooting, Finn saved him from dying from the gunshot wound. Grace suggested that they try an experimental surgery to save Liam's life because he was recovering well from it. Grace then released Liam and had Bill to take Liam to another clinic where he underwent an operation that was not approved. An operation that cost $1 million. Will Grace Buckingham be covered by Liam Spencer? Grace expects them to keep this quiet so she doesn't get in trouble. Finn will tell Liam. Even if Liam does whatever he wants, Finn might agree. Will Liam come to Grace's aid, or will he reveal the truth? It's possible that Liam will not keep this a secret and will demand that Grace pay for what she has done. Will Liam demand that Grace compensate him and his family for what she did to them? Liam may want to tell his father first of all. After all, he was the one that Grace stole money from. However, Grace should not be allowed to keep her job and do this to someone else. Perhaps Liam will insist that Grace be punished for her lies in prison. Will Grace finally pay for this elaborate story? How will Grace deal with her job and prison? Will Grace be cared for first by Bill? Hope Logan had believed for a brief moment that the agony and chaos of her relationship with Liam Spencer could finally be put to rest while she was floating on the delicate cloud of new beginnings with Carter Walton. Their engagement, forged in late-night whispers and promises of a love untainted by betrayal, had seemed like a fresh start. But in Los Angeles, nothing lasts forever, and this tender new chapter is about to end when an avalanche of lies, secrets, and heartbreak hits. What Hope didn't know, what none of them knew until recently, was that Liam's so-called brain cancer diagnosis, the illness that shook the very foundation of their family, was a complete and cruel fabrication. And now that truth was leaking like poison into every relationship it touched. Dr. John Finnegan had spent weeks delving into Liam's perplexing case, perplexed by scan inconsistencies and the peculiar lack of deterioration that would accompany such a diagnosis. However, the true story was revealed by Grace Buckingham's trembling hands and evasive eyes. She gave in to the pressure, cracked, and the entire facade fell apart. Grace admitted that Liam never had brain cancer. His life was not saved by a tumor, experimental surgery, or even magic pills that could have extended it. All of it was a con, an elaborate ruse created out of need, debt, and a desire to steal $1 million from Bill Spencer, whose fierce protectiveness of his sons would now turn into blinding rage. Grace confessed she had preyed on Liam's confusion after his collapse at Bill's house, lied to Steffi Forrester when she called the ambulance, falsified scans, and fed pills to Liam that made him feel worse, not better. While keeping him just far enough from the records to conceal any discrepancies, she had persuaded Finn to follow the treatment plan. But they did, and now, Finn wasn't just furious. He was determined to reveal her identity. This revelation detonated like a bomb. Grace was first dragged by Finn to the Spencer estate, where she had to confront a stunned and shaken Liam and Hope Logan, who was equally concerned and horrified as she stood by her former husband's side. Hope was devastated by Liam's diagnosis. She stood in the same spot and realized it had all been a lie after witnessing the departure of her children and his decline. The disdain in the room only grew as Grace tried to justify her actions by blaming incessant debt collectors, unpaid medical school loans, and a fear of professional disgrace. The fury of Bill Spencer was volcanic. Not only had he transferred $1 million, but he had also gone through emotional hell in preparation for the death of a son who had never been diagnosed with a terminal illness. His instincts told him to go to court right away, and his lawyers worked quickly to build a case that could result in Grace losing her medical license and going to jail. However, the repercussions affected Hope and Carter personally. Daphne Rose, a sly newcomer to the Forrester universe, had already started sniffing around Carter, enticing him with her knowledge and promising him a future away from Hope's ties to Liam. Daphne saw an opportunity in Hope's fragility, and now that the cancer was exposed, Hope was indeed fragile. She had thrown herself into Carter's arms to get away from what she thought was a slow goodbye and Liam's fictitious illness. Hope had to deal with all the emotions she'd buried now that Liam wasn't dying or even sick. Her emotional retreat was almost immediately felt by Carter. Hoping that it would be poetic to have Hope walk away from Liam's shadow into the light of their future, he had planned to propose once more in Rome. However, those plans were rapidly falling apart. Daphne pounced when she noticed Carter's hesitation. One night, after too many drinks and too much honesty, Carter found himself entangled in something with Daphne that he couldn't ignore. It didn't matter if it was emotional or physical. The betrayal had begun. Ridge Forrester's world was also spinning at the same time. Back in Italy, where drama followed the Forresters like perfume, Brooke Logan was thrown off a boat by none other than Nick Marone's reckless driving. In the hope of proposing to Brooke before Ridge could interrupt, Nick had been rushing away from Ridge. However, the chaos came to an end when Brooke went overboard, and Ridge jumped into the water to save her. The moment was cinematic, the rescue both literal and symbolic. Something changed as Ridge, breathless and sputtering, dragged Brooke onto the dock. He kissed her then, unable to hold back. The media took pictures, and the kiss appeared in a local paper by morning. In her hotel room, where she had been waiting for Ridge to join her, Taylor Hayes read it alone while still wearing her bridal gown. He never arrived. Eric Forrester, already aware of Nick's proposal plan and terrified it would derail Ridge and Brooke's destiny, had tipped off his son in time. Now, with Ridge and Brooke tangled in seaweed and love again, there would be no wedding for Taylor. She quietly but deeply broke her heart. Ridge never made it back to the hotel. Brooke stayed with him. And Taylor was forced to finally admit to herself what everyone else knew already, that Ridge would always return to Brooke. The nightmare, however, was not over for Liam. Yes, stress had caused him to collapse, But Grace's interference had transformed that into a life-threatening farce. The trust of his father had been shaken. Also, his reputation. Even though he had no knowledge of Grace's deceit, people were now beginning to speculate that Liam had accepted the lie in order to regain Hope's affection and gain attention. The headlines were more important to the media than the facts. And Liam's face was everywhere now. Liam felt like his base was falling apart. His children were perplexed, his ex-wife was reeling, and Grace, the woman who had taken advantage of his vulnerability, had not yet received the appropriate justice. He warned Finn that he would not keep quiet. He wanted Grace to face real problems. He would be a witness. He would speak with the hospital's board. He would press charges. Because if she could do this to him, she could do it to anyone. Hope stood by and applauded his resolve, but her confusion was only stoked by it. This was the Liam she had loved, protective, brave, refusing to let the guilty walk free. She was also left wondering if she had given up on him too quickly.